James Collins, an African-American, one of the most terrifying serial killers in U.S. history, earning the title of the Devil of the Anatomy Room. His story is one of the most horrifying tales you can hear, taking place in Chicago. Nightmare began when James Collins was just 7 years old, when his mother was the victim of a violent crime in one of Detroit's poorest neighborhoods. His father found out. He decided to take revenge. He managed to find the perpetrator, brought him to the house, and killed him in front of James. Then dismembered the body and buried it in an abandoned plot of land near the house. This event left a deep psychological scar on the young James, changing the course of his life forever. Years passed, and James Collins worked in the morgue of Cook County Hospital in Chicago, where he specialized in washing the deceased and gained extensive experience with the bodies. Later, he applied for a job in Los Angeles, where he worked in one of the largest hospitals in the city in the same field. He eventually returned to Chicago, but in 1995, he moved to New York, where he took a job at the New York University Hospital morgue, which was also part of the medical school. At that time, there was a rise in mysterious disappearances, many of which were categorized as unidentified. James Collins had built strong relationships with medical students who knew him for his ability to engage in illegal activities, including accepting bribes in exchange for body parts from the deceased for their studies. He also claimed he could help students pass exams by bribing professors, although this was entirely false. His illegal activities didn't stop there. He also sold recordings of lectures that he obtained through illegal means to students who missed classes, profiting greatly from these actions. However, none of these criminal actions could compare to what would be revealed later, the crime that exposed him. In 1999, a student named Emily Carter, who was studying medicine at New York University, heard from her peers that she could bribe James Collins to get body parts or even help her pass exams. She paid him money but soon realized he was avoiding her. One day, she needed a plastic model of a human skull for her research and went to James Collins to ask for help. However, he lured her into the morgue, and when she threatened to expose his bribery, he decided to treat her the same way he had treated many victims before her. He killed her, dismembered her body, and preserved some parts in glass jars containing a preservative fluid, while he disposed of the rest of the body using a chemical he had created that dissolved the bones and tissues completely. After committing the crime, James Collins casually sat at the morgue door, acting as though nothing had happened. However, Emily's mother began to worry when her daughter didn't return at the expected time. She asked Emily's friend, who told her that Emily had gone to see James Collins at the morgue. Mother went to the morgue and asked James Collins about her daughter, but he denied seeing her at all. Not satisfied with his response, she went to the police and filed 2 reports. One about Emily's disappearance, and another accusing James Collins of taking bribes. He was arrested and interrogated for a long period, but because there was no evidence against him, he was released and continued his work normally. However, a friend of Emily's discovered Emily's bag hidden in the morgue and immediately informed the mother, the police, and the university. The police arrived quickly, and the discovery of the bag was strong evidence against James Collins. After further investigation, he confessed to his crimes, not just in New York, but also in Chicago and Los Angeles, covering the horrors. During a search of the morgue, the police found numerous human body parts, many of them preserved in glass jars, with others scattered around the morgue, unidentified. James Collins admitted to killing 16 students in New York in the same manner, with all the cases being recorded as unidentified due to the complete disappearance of the bodies. He also confessed that his first murder in New York was of his girlfriend, who was pregnant with his child. She had helped him sell gold from his victims, but after they argued over money, James Collins killed her, cut open her abdomen, and took the fetus, placing it in a glass jar and keeping it in the morgue until his arrest. The same method was used for all his other victims. In Chicago, he admitted to killing 11 girls in the same way, and again, their disappearances were classified as unsolved. He also admitted to working with a specialized criminal organization that dealt in human organs. He would kill his victims and sell their body parts to them. If he was unable to completely dispose of a body, he would dismember it into small pieces and request permission from the university to bury the remains, arguing that they were a burden to the morgue. This approval allowed him to bury the parts, erasing any trace of evidence. Disturbing details. During his confessions, James Collins revealed that he didn't just stop at killing. After murdering some of his victims, he would also sexually assault their bodies in the morgue before dismembering them in the same way as the others. Most disturbing part was that James Collins filmed every step of the process, recording his murders and body disposal methods. He stored these videos on tapes meant for university lectures, hoping they would never be discovered. He also admitted that during a medical exhibition at the university, he had placed human body parts from his victims in glass jars at the exhibit, allowing students to walk around and view the remains without realizing they were from real victims. He took pleasure in their reactions. The end. In 2001, James Collins was executed by firing squad in a public square in front of a large crowd in New York, after being convicted of more than 27 murders committed in the same horrific manner.